Hello, everybody. Welcome to 8080 Mind Instagram Live. Sorry I'm a minute or two late. I was actually just doing a corporate workshop, and I had the thought that what we were talking about there would actually be a really helpful mindfulness practice for relationships and for marriage. So, what I thought we could explore or talk about today together is this idea of unconscious commitments in relationships and in marriage. And this, I think, is like one of the most interesting areas of relationships. And it's basically this idea that we tend to think that all of the problems that are happening in a relationship are somehow coming from the outside in, right? The problem in my marriage, the fact that I do more or I care more or I'm more loving or my partner's not loving enough, that's all coming from the outside in. That's our habitual way of seeing things. And the idea of an unconscious commitment is making this really radical shift to the idea that maybe somehow I am actually committed to getting the results that I'm getting in this relationship. So it's a really radical idea, and it comes in many ways from a couple of our mentors, Gay and Katie Hendricks, who say that in all times and in every way, you are committed to getting exactly what you are committed or you are getting. So I know that's just this wild idea, but I think of it as kind of like a thought experiment that pops us out of that habitual state of thinking that all of my problems in relationship are coming from the outside in, and starting to look at, are there ways in which I am committed to this? Are there ways in which I'm participating to a dynamic in which I experience these problematic results or outcomes, whatever that may be? Fighting, conflict, feeling unheard, etc. Feeling like you do more, another common one. So anyway, I thought we'd do this as a mindfulness practice. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions. So if you do have a piece of paper, if you want to record your answers, that's great. If you don't care, if you just want to record them mentally, that's fine too. But I thought we'd start with just kind of going into a bit of mindfulness, getting present, and then I'm going to guide us through this kind of exploration of unconscious commitments. And at the end, the goal is to get to a place where we actually have something tangible and actionable that you can do to begin unwinding this unconscious commitment. So here we go. Let's start. Comfortable seat, straight spine. You can close your eyes. And just notice the shift that happens. I know for me, I've been going from one thing to the next this morning, and it is so delightful just to sit here with all of you with nothing to do other than perhaps putting some attention on your breath. So just noticing the sensations of breath. And there's no effort here. There's no attempt to control the breath. You're just relaxing into this awareness of the sensation of each breath. Allowing the breath to remind you of this amazing place that is the present moment. This place outside of past and future. So now that you feel a bit more present than when we started. The first step in this practice is to think about one result that you are getting in your relationship that somehow isn't working for you, that's creating a problem for you. Could be feeling misunderstood, doing more, feeling unloved, feeling disrespected, feeling controlled. There are all sorts of possibilities, and we all have our own flavor of these things. But the invitation here is to think of that one thing that holds the most juice for you. And just notice as you sit with this one thing, you might even notice some of the emotions that come with this or sensations in your body that arise. It can be helpful just to pay attention to what happens, how you react when this problematic result occurs. And if you want, you can even write this down. And now step 2 is an invitation to contemplate this outrageous thought experiment. So imagine somehow you are committed or participating in the dynamic that creates this result. Somehow it's not just coming from the outside in. You are somehow participating in this. There's something you may be doing to create this. And this is very difficult to do. This is counter to our habits. So if it feels a little strange, that's okay. If you feel some resistance, that's okay. But what I would invite you to do is think about the 1 or 2 things you may be doing to create this dynamic, to create this problematic result. So examples could be, if I'm feeling unloved by my partner, is it possible I'm not giving them love and words of affirmation? If I feel like I'm doing everything, is it possible that there's something in the way I'm doing it that's creating a dynamic of control or coming from resentment that's demotivating my partner? So we're just identifying 1 or 2 things that we may be doing to create this dynamic. And if you want, you can write these down. And so if you were able to do that, I just want to make a note of how big a deal that is. Somehow you were able to shift out of your habitual habits and see something that was unconscious potentially before. So that in itself is a huge deal. You're bringing awareness, bringing this unconscious commitment to light so you can see it. But if you're willing to go one step further, there's one more piece to this. And that is, can you think of one small micro habit you could develop to change this commitment, to interrupt the momentum of this commitment? It might be doing something kind for your partner, writing them a sticky note, revealing your full experience to your partner, asking for what you want in a clear and kind way. What's one micro habit you could build that would allow you to shift the momentum of this unconscious commitment? And see if you can come up with something extremely practical, extremely easy to do, not a heavy lift. And if you would like, write that down. So now, having gone through this kind of amazing thought experiment, let's come back to this place of being present with the breath, this place of mindfulness. Following the sensation of each breath. And then before you open up your eyes, or if your eyes are already open, before you come back into the world of Instagram and into your day, just notice if anything has shifted. Notice if there's a subtle sense that you may have more control over your experience of your relationship than you previously thought. Notice that. And then when you're ready, you can come fully back into the space of Instagram. And for those of you who stayed for the whole practice, thank you. And I'm so grateful for your willingness to engage in this inquiry. It's hard. It's definitely counter to our ordinary habits, but it's so powerful when we're able to do it. To just see those areas where we may have certain commitments that are creating these problematic results and dynamics. So thank you all for that. And I will hopefully see you next week for 8080 Mind.